Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel. Give this video a like.
Check out the podcast below in the description. Do it now.
We got a good Thursday night football game coming up.
We do.
Raiders, Chargers. Monday Night Football did not go the Raiders' way. It would have been very beneficial for them, for the Ravens to lose. Paul Guenther is out. Your boy, Bald Brotherhood, Rod Marinelli, has taken over as defensive coordinator. But this is a desperate situation for the Raiders on multiple fronts. They got to win multiple games, and that's just assuming. Like, I think some people are.
They got to win. They got to win out.
They got to win out. 3 games left. Some people on our YouTube channel were very put off by us not accepting that Paul Guenther was the big problem here, and now everything is fixed. Right? We're talking about a team that, last I checked, as you like to say, John, Paul Guenther don't coach offense, and they scored 6 points against the Falcons. Last I checked, Paul Guenther don't coach offense. They scored 2 touchdowns through 3 quarters against the Colts until garbage time. So
who coaches offense, Guy?
Some little known upstart. I think he's like it's like a GA. They just pay him like base salary, I think.
Yeah,
oh wait,
okay.
No. It's John Gruden. It's John Gruden. And by and large, we've loved their offense, but Paul Guenther, like, everything didn't get fixed this week because he got fired.
Guy, I think that the first 3 years of John Gruden are a letdown. Bottom line, that they're even in this position, that they have to win 3 games, which in what fucking world could you say, yeah, the Raiders probably win 3 straight? They just lost to the Falcons 3 weeks ago. They barely beat the Jets. And then they got destroyed, mollywopped by the Colts. So the Raiders, like, I don't think they're going to win 3 straight. I actually think this Thursday night game could get a little weird. Like, all of a sudden, they're just gonna house Justin Herbert. I don't know, the best statistical rookie in the history of the league. Like, the Raiders probably should win, but to just think that they're going to cruise to a victory against these guys, I don't see it. They're just going to play Miami Dolphins. Like, I think Miami's better. The Denver Broncos, they got to go on the road. It'll probably be snowing and cold. And the Broncos have actually played a lot better this last month. They played the Chiefs close. They lost the one game when they didn't have a quarterback. They just housed the Carolina Panthers. Like, they're playing good. So, the Raiders are going to be favored at least in 2 or 3 of the games. They probably favored against the Dolphins. We'll see. But I don't think anything's fixed just because Paul Guenther's no longer in the building. The Khalil Mack and Rod Woodson and Charles Woodson and Romanowski and Howie Long ain't walking through that door. This is, to me, it's just completely desperate. It's like, it happens a lot in, I think, relationships when you get really desperate to do something, to, like, you get caught doing something bad and you get her a ring, or when couples have kids when they don't even like each other or have a child and it doesn't. To me, this is a Hail Mary, firing this guy with 3 games left, praying to God that it works. And I have a hard time seeing it working. Because players, guy, because in football, the players on defense, like, obviously quarterback matters in the pros, but I can scheme random guys open on offense. Like, my corner or my linebacker can either run or he can't, right? It's just like my defensive end, like, God, these guys really scheming Aaron Donald. No, he's kicking the shit out of every offensive lineman he's going against. And Cleveland Farrell ain't just like, they're scheming him. No,
YouTube comments told us he was 12th PFF, John.
He's just not good enough. I mean, Jonathan Abram is just bad. In terms of his limitations are glaring holes for offenses, right?
Well, and you need him to be one of your top 3 players on your defense. That's the other problem, right?
And here's probably the biggest problem. Most teams in the NFL, Raiders included, if you have a good offense, the Chargers do, they have a top 10 offense. Typically, you have a good tight end, right? I'd say if we just look around the league, most good offenses have good tight ends. Some of the best offenses have elite tight ends. The Raiders, Chiefs, right? The Niners when Kittle's playing. But a lot of teams are like, the Rams have a couple guys that are really good. The Eagles, like, most teams have a mismatch at tight end. They got Hunter Henry. Well, who did the Raiders draft to cover tight ends? A guy they can't really cover. Like, that is his job,
The Dolphins have Gesicki.
Yeah, he's a good player. The Broncos have Fant. Yeah, he can. He's a good player. Obviously, Hunter Henry. Like you're going against 3 guys in a row that are just good. Like it's at the end of the day, like scheme him. Like that guy has to cover the guy. Like he just has to cover him, and
Yeah,
he's proven he can't.
I think the now from the plus side for the Raiders, the Chargers and the Broncos, specifically Thursday night, the Chargers, they struggle to win games, right? Like playing the kind of football that can beat you. It's not their specialty. Well, I take that back. They play the kind of football that can beat you. It feels to me like the opponent is always more in control of whether or not they win or lose than the Chargers are.
True.
The Dolphins, on the other hand, have not been like that. The Dolphins seem to get the most out of what they have every week. They are a button-down operation, as I like to say.
And they don't quit.
And they play good defense. And
they play hard.
So, and they're well coached, right? Like they are not. I would say the Raiders have been closer to the Chargers in terms of the type of game they play than the Dolphins, right?
Agree.
The Broncos, whatever. But to your point, the Raiders have won 3 in a row this year. Browns, Chargers, Broncos, right? So 2 of these 3 teams were part of that 3-game winning streak the first time. But it felt like they were playing better football at that point in time.
Here's the simple fact. If John Gruden misses the playoffs, and it's headed that way right now, it's out of the Raiders' control. And the things they don't control, it's not like, well, the Ravens get the Saints, the Chiefs, and it's broken the bad way for them, right?
Yeah,
the
Jags,
teams that they
Giants,
need to
Bengals.
lose
Jags,
have easy finishes.
Bengals.
And for example, the Ravens are a 2-touchdown favorite this weekend. 2. So it would be the biggest underdog winning if they were to lose this week in the league so far this year. Jack Del Rio took over a team that was 3-13, and within 2 years they were in the playoffs, and they just had an identity. Like John Gruden's going to go 3 years without being in the playoffs. Like that's awful. And given the hype, given the money, he's firing coaches. If they miss the playoffs this year, which again they are on the path to miss the playoffs, that's a disaster. His 10-year return for the Raiders has been an utter failure. There's zero ability to defend that. Would you agree with that statement?
I will wholeheartedly agree.
Given the hype for a decade that we heard about this guy, 3 years, it's a couple years, turnover roster. But this year, especially when you were 6-3, I actually think the way they missed the playoffs this year, if it trends that way, is worse than just being kind of average. It's like you guys were in the driver's seat, and you beat the Browns. The other thing that's crazy about the Raiders is how did you beat the Browns? How did you beat the Saints? How did you beat the Chiefs? And how did you miss the playoffs? Like it doesn't really add up.
No,
it's something a good coach would not have found himself in this position.
Well, it's why they fail the eye test too. In addition to what you just described on paper, which is the ultimate failure, you watch them and you think, this is year 3. Why do they look? Well, why are they kind of this Jekyll and Hyde? Why don't I know what I'm getting week to week? Right? You would
reflection
like to
of the coach.
What's that?
It's a reflection of the coach.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. This was a year where you go, all right, you've had to draft, you've had good positions to draft in, have those players hit. You and I have said for most of the season, and I'll just speak for myself, I've watched Henry Ruggs multiple times, and I've tweeted it, I've said it on this show, that I think he's better than the box score. Like I watch him and he impacts games. He might have 2 catches, but he got a pass interference, and just the fact that he's out there opens it up for other people, whatever. And you and I were talking about this before we started recording. It's been an incredible rookie year. For all the difficulties we thought rookies would have in the NFL this season because of the abnormal camps, it's harder to learn the offense. Let's talk about offensive rookies. Offensive rookies have been major factors for good teams all over the league. And the wide receiver group was the one that we identified as the easiest one to evaluate because they were mostly players who we'd all watched. They were going left and right in the first 45 draft picks. And we were just going to be able to compare. We know if you took this guy, you took him over these 3. If you took this guy at this spot, you took him over those 5. And I watched Justin Jefferson. I watched Brandon Ayuk. I watched Michael Pittman. On and on. I watched CeeDee Lamb. I watched Jerry Jeudy. I watch Henry Ruggs and go, I love him. Well, I shouldn't say love. I think he's pretty good. I've thought that most of this year. But why is there not this point where his production, you go, all right, 8 weeks in, and now his production really kicks up? I don't know why it hasn't happened. And when I watch him, you know what I think, John? I think, would he be having a better year on another team? Because I do think his talent's there. We saw what he did in that Jets game. I guess the short way of saying everything I just said is I'm beginning to get a little concerned that he's not going to maximize his potential here.
It's been less than ideal for a guy that talent evaluators, you and I, anyone that you can see the talent, it doesn't add up because the quarterbacks played well, right? It just, what's going on here? What's going on?
He was the first receiver taken.
The number one guy in the class. I mean, he was a 12th pick in the draft. You just say that out loud. Whether 50 receivers went like they did or no, he was a 12th pick in the draft. Like that alone comes with really high expect. And then once you factor in, like you said, the other receivers, it's like, what is going on here? How is Brandon Ayuk with fucking Mullins running circles around his production?
Yeah.
Because he is.
When I remember, like, you think when I've watched Dante Pettis as an example, I went, no, I got it. And I felt that way coming in. Now, he was drafted much later.
We're indicting the coaching staff, not Henry Ruggs.
I don't watch Henry Ruggs and think, doesn't belong on an NFL field because he's running by people. He gets open.
Doesn't add up.
Doesn't add up. I'm concerned about it. But I will say this. Thursday is kind of a game. This could be a little bit of a shootout. Maybe it's a big Henry Ruggs game. I hope it is for him because I want him to break through.
Same.